Another Monday, another mock draft. This is 3.0. If you guys want to check out my first and my second mock drafts, they're going to be on the channel a handful of weeks back. I can link them in the comments and description as well. But without further ado, let's waste no time. Let's go through the top 8 picks in mock draft 3.0. Round 1, Saints Now by Chat Sports. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Tet McMillan. They round out the top 3. A shocking pick here at number 5, Jahdae Barron, who is a really talented player for what it's worth. I just think number 5 is a little rich. Abdul Carter, he falls to the Raiders at 6, gets a very nice pairing for Max Crosby. Luther Burden, James Pierce. There's a lot of talented players that got taken in the top 8. But there's one player that managed to slip through all of the picks leading up to the Saints. So in round 1, number 9 overall, I made the decision. I saw Shedeur Sanders there. I didn't see a wide receiver I loved. I understand offense and defensive line are important needs. But I went Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur is a great football player. And to be totally honest, the only reason I really went with Shedeur is because he fell in my lap and I was like, might as well. Might as well. My whole take around the quarterback discussion has been, I don't want to draft a quarterback until day 3. Unless Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders falls to you, which won't happen. But in this mock draft, it did. So I went ahead and took Shedeur. He's sitting at 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a really good quarterback. I know you guys have seen his tape. I know you know a lot about this player. Son of Deion Sanders, quarterback for the Colorado Buffaloes. And this past season had a pretty good year. 37 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. However, this is a player who has seen the dirt a lot. 99 times he has been sacked over the past 2 seasons. Some of that, maybe it's on him. Some of that, a lot of it, is on his offensive line. I'm not here to tell you Shedeur Sanders is going to fix every problem. I get you have needs in the trenches. You have needs on the defense. You have needs elsewhere. I'll tell you what, Shedeur fell to me. I like the idea of drafting him for what it's worth. Also, he's not a mobile quarterback, or he's not a dual threat quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. Very different, very, very different between the two. Mobile meaning he can move around. Dual threat meaning like part of the big aspect of his game is the rushing ability. I think Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. The fact that he fell to number 9, I said, F it. Why not? So I'm going to ask you the question. You're on the clock. You have 2 minutes to make a pick. If Shedeur Sanders falls to the Saints, would you draft him? Just give me a draft or a pass in the comments section. Again, I just thought this was too good of an opportunity to pass up. Might as well see what happens. Why not? Round 2, number 40 overall, I went with the Arkansas Razorback, former LSU Tiger Landon Jackson. For all of you at home who are LSU fans, I'm an Arkansas fan, and I'm going to make you sit through this. Ooh, pig suey. Not going to do all 3 of them. But I will tell you right now, going and getting a guy like Landon Jackson could be extremely helpful to his Saints defensive line, which quite frankly was atrocious last year. He has all of the size. He has all of the traits. If you were to create a player on Madden and you wanted him to be a textbook, prototypical edge rusher or defensive lineman in the NFL at 6'7", 280 pounds, Landon Jackson's just that. That being said, the athleticism, it needs to get a little bit better. It's something he lacks, but he does have a very high motor, which allows him to stay in plays late into the play. He has never been super duper productive in his career, even dating back to LSU, but he is a guy, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 3 pass breakups. He can line up not just on the edge. He can line up over the tackles. He can line up in the middle. He can line up over the in the A or in the B gap. He can do pretty much anything you want. Landon Jackson, I really like this guy as a defensive lineman. I also like him because he went to my alma mater as well. I'll just say this right now. Number 40, if you're getting Landon Jackson, could be a big-time steal at the scouting combine. We'll have to see how things test out for him, but I have high expectations for him and very high hopes for Landon Jackson. This is a player we've taken multiple times. I think every mock draft he's been available at number 71, so I took him. Tre Harris, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. This is not a hard decision for me, guys. I really like Tre Harris, and specifically, not even the player. I like the fit, and I like the role he could fulfill. The New Orleans Saints have been missing a guy that could fill in the Michael Thomas role. I think that the Saints wide receiver group is fine. I think that they have good players, good route runners, an ass load of speed, but what they're missing is a big-bodied pass catcher that can win those contested catches, that can be more physical and out-physical players and out-body players and just dominate across the middle. He has really, really good stats over the past year, over 1,000 yards. He played a couple years at Louisiana Tech. He's from Lafayette, so it'd be pretty cool to see a homecoming for Tre Harris. I think this would be an awesome pick, and I think it fits exactly the prototype and exactly the mold of a receiver that the Saints are missing on the offensive side of the football. So Tre Harris, once again, I'm making him my number 70 overall selection. Now, round 3, we're sticking here. I'm going Mason Taylor, the LSU tight end. Look, there's a lot of different ways you can go with these first 3 rounds. I know I only added one defensive player, and I added a lot of offensive talent. Quite frankly, I think the offensive talent needs a massive facelift, and I get the defense does too, but look, I think just the scheme changes alone could make a difference. So let's talk about Mason Taylor. I think he is a player who could be really good with the Saints offense, especially considering Kellen Moore is the play caller. He's kind of like a Dallas Goedert type player, really good pass catcher, really good route runner. Could use some work in terms of his run blocking, but I mean, almost 10 yards per catch, 546 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Tigers. A lot of y'all know him. A lot of y'all are fans of him. LSU legend Mason Taylor. I also think that the Saints have a need at tight end. Foster Moreau, I think, is a great TE2. We haven't seen enough from Dallin Holker for me to say, yep, that should be our starting tight end. We also don't know what's going to go on with Taysom Hill. He's also not a true tight end. Juwan Johnson's a free agent. So, look, I think that tight end is a position in need for the New Orleans Saints this offseason. I think a draft is an excellent place to add a tight end because you can get a quality player really in any round, to be totally honest, depending on who you get. I think there's a lot of options at the tight end position. So I've already mentioned, I'm an Arkansas fan. I know a lot of y'all are LSU fans or Louisiana Tech or whatever. I want to know who's your favorite college football team. Shout them out. Give me your battle cry. Give me your favorite sports moment. I just want to know what your favorite college football team is. Who do you rep in the fall when you're not watching on Sundays? All right, so let's talk here. Willie Lampkin, round 4, number 110 overall. Guys, do some research on Willie Lampkin. Before you sit and be like, you guys, you didn't even get an offensive lineman until the 4th round. Blah! Guys, look up this guy. He is a freak. He's not allowed a sack since 2022. And he's only allowed 3 sacks in his entire career. Originally, he started off his collegiate career at Coastal Carolina, transferred to UNC, has now really done some great things. Look at the PFF grades for Willie Lampkin. 4 quarterback hits, 8 pressures, 0 sacks allowed in 2024. 6 foot, 290 pounds. He can line up all over the place. I'm going to pull up Willie Lampkin's snap alignment here for you, just so you guys can understand. In 2024, 851 snaps at right guard. In 2023, 622 snaps at right guard, 53 at center, and 141 at left guard. And then in 2022, 884 snaps at center. So this is a player who's done really good things across multiple positions in the interior at multiple levels of college football, from Coastal Carolina to UNC, and he's played all 3 interior spots at a very high level. Willie Lampkin could be everything Nick Saldiveri hasn't been, and I really like this idea, and I like this player as an option because the Saints need versatility. They need somebody who can hop in and deal and manage with injuries and help the team manage those, because what if Eric McCoy gets hurt again? Well, Willie Lampkin has over 900 snaps at the center position, so I think we're going to be okay there. What if he needs to go to guard? Well, he's got a lot of snaps at both guard spots too, so I like the idea of Willie Lampkin. This is a player that you need to keep your eyes out on, Saints fans. Round 4, number 129, I went Rylie Mills, the defensive tackle from Notre Dame. He's an interior defensive lineman, and he was a really big part of Notre Dame's success on the defensive side of the football this past season. Really, really good at stopping the run. 21 run stops this season, and what that means, it's PFF labels that as an unsuccessful offensive play. So 21 times, opposing offenses ran the football and he stopped it, and it was not a positive play. That's pretty solid. 37 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, 7.5 sacks. Like, he's not going to offer you much as a pass protector, as in pass rush, and he's not super explosive off the line, so don't expect crazy numbers at the combine, but I mean, he'll out-physically you. He's super-duper strong. He has a high football IQ, so, with Rylie Mills, is he going to be changing the game for you right then and there? No. But he addresses and fixes a need in stopping the run that the New Orleans Saints were at the bottom of the league at doing last year. It's kind of thing Brian Brzee, where he's an excellent pass rusher and all that stuff is awesome, but then he really struggles against the run. It's kind of like flip-flopped, where Rylie Mills really, really good against the run, struggles as a pass rusher. Just kind of try to make it simple for you. Now, really quick reminder, if you haven't already, we are ramping up our draft coverage, our team from Chat Sports. We have a crew of guys headed up to Indianapolis as we speak for the scouting combine, so a lot of good information and stuff will be coming from that team onto this channel around the New Orleans Saints from Indianapolis, so be sure to subscribe. We'll also go through more mock drafts, draft targets, trade rumors, all sorts of juicy stuff here on the channel. We're on the road to 42K, so lock us in. Let's stay offense. Ollie Gordon. At one point in time, ladies and gentlemen, this player was viewed as the leading candidate going into this past season, one of the leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy. Ollie Gordon last year had an unbelievable season. But this past year, things kind of dipped. Everything across the board for the Oklahoma State Cowboys was bad. My little brother, he goes to Oklahoma State University. I hate to break it to you, Ty. Your football team sucked. But Ollie Gordon, he was a pretty good part of that. In 2023, 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns, averaging over 6 yards per carry. This year, 880 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 through the air, just not as good. And some of that has to do with the scheme. Some of that has to do with the talent around him. And I'll tell you this, though, Ollie Gordon's still a player that I have a lot of faith in. Very versatile. He's solid in terms of being a pass catcher. He's also solid in protecting for the pass. So, I think in the 6th round, a guy like Ollie Gordon, hell yeah. I think that's an excellent selection when you're on day 3 of the draft, especially considering you don't have a 5th-round pick. Now, really quick, I got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. It's Fanatics, but if you want to go get a new Saints jersey, chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We got any size, any color, any player, men, women, or children, whatever you want. You want Rattler, you want Kool-Aid McKinstry, you want Tyrann Mathieu, you want Alvin Kamara. Hell, I saw Michael Thomas jerseys for $40. Somehow, some way, if you want to go get a Michael Thomas jersey and you're like, maybe he comes back, or I loved Michael Thomas and I never got a jersey, we got you covered. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. You can also use this link whenever we get past the draft and past free agency to get jerseys for players that will join this team in the offseason. Get started, get swagged out at the link in the comments and description of this video. Alrighty, last couple picks. So remember how we went Shedeur in round 1? Fuck it. I went Shilo in round 7. I thought it would be pretty fun. To be totally honest, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a bad football player. He's just undersized. And he's just a guy who's going to be fighting an uphill battle. I mean, he has a history of injuries. He doesn't have the NFL prototypical size. He didn't get invited to the scouting combine. So, the opportunities for him to show what he's capable of to NFL scouts are pretty limited. That being said, very, very good when it comes to hawking the ball. He's also really good in the box, and he can add some depth and add some versatility and add some utility as a run defender in the box as well. He's a very resilient player, very tough. Just he's fighting an uphill battle. If you go and draft him in the 7th round, you're making Shedeur happy in this mock draft. Maybe in one day you get Dion. Who knows? That'd be wild. I think Shilo in the 7th round, why not? It's a good name player. He'd put butts in seats and he'd get people fired up. Alrighty, last pick in this draft. A lot of selections. 9 total picks, ladies and gentlemen. We're rounding it out with a very underrated, last but certainly not least, pick. Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker from California. The Golden Bears linebacker was absolutely phenomenal this past season. I'm telling you right now, turn on the tape. When you see him play against the run, he plays with his hair on fire, plays a mile a minute, and he is absolutely dangerous. He's coming out of plays like a heat-seeking missile, hawking the ball carrier, making sure he's involved with plays, making sure that he is putting his head and his lid on the football to create chaos for a defense. I really like the idea of adding Teddy Buchanan. He's very rarely out of position, has a high football IQ, a lot of good things. There's also some negatives. He's got to work on his coverage abilities. He's got to learn how to be better in terms of dropping back, not just being a run stuffer. But if you want to draft somebody who can stop the run and who can just be a defensive playmaker, Teddy Buchanan can be just that. I think he's a great football player. So we've gone through it. 9 total selections. Here is the recap. We started off with a steal. Highway robbery is what they call it in the industry. Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado. We also added his brother Shilo in round 7. We beefed up the edge and the defense, or the defensive line position with Landon Jackson. Got some offensive juice with Tre Harris, Mason Taylor, and Ollie Gordon. All in all, I think this is a really solid mock draft. So I want you to grade mock draft 3.0. A, B, C, D, or F. Get down in the comment section. And Saints fans, no matter where you are or how you're watching, we always appreciate the Who Dat Nation for making us a part of the day. We already did a video this morning about some quarterback candidates from trades, draft, free agency, internal options. Over 25 different quarterback targets for the New Orleans Saints. So if you want to get informed, that video, it's going to be available here in just a second, right here, maybe right here. I'm not sure, but click on it if you guys want to get informed in that regard. And y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.